Don't over-inspect. Don't over-supervise. Hard to do that. Your ego wants you to over-supervise, by the way. Your ego wants to over-inspect. Your ego actually wants to find problems. You ever had those bosses? Like, you can't get through like in the SEAL teams, you give a brief. There's no way you're getting through the brief without getting dinged on 7 different things. I'd like some of the guys I used to critique their briefs on come and talk to me, because I was freaking harsh on those briefs. But here's the thing, man. I'll have to review some of my notes, because I would be harsh because they would do dumb shit. And I'd be like, bro, what are you doing over here? What does this mean? I can't even understand. Look at your pictures here. Like, this doesn't make any sense. What is this timeline? How do you think you're going to patrol from here to here in that amount of time? They were just legitimate things, because I actually didn't care. I actually didn't care what the font was. I didn't care about any of that. I cared about, and actually I did. Here's a good case in point. I had a guy, good dude, tore his brief up. And, he gets done. They do another brief next day, next stop, tore it up, terrible. And he's like, after the first day, he added even more, like trying to satisfy me. And he says, dude, this is like a moving target. What is it that you actually want from these briefs? And I said, well, it's not a moving target. I said, to me, a good brief is when you give a brief, your men understand the mission and the execution. And he was like, okay, fair enough. And then he took that to heart of, okay, my audience is not Jocko. My audience is not the commanding officer. My audience is my machine gunner. My audience is my point man. My audience is my breacher. That's my audience. That's who needs to understand this thing. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And that's the same thing Leif and I wrote about. That's happened with Leif and Seth. Leif and Seth were doing the freaking most insane 150 slide PowerPoint briefs for reconnaissance missions and training. And they were so bad. And I was like, hey guys, no one knows what the hell you guys are talking about. I said, let's do this. I said, I just want you to brief to the lowest common denominator in your platoon. Just do that. Pull out a map. Don't need to put a bunch of slides. They don't need to have animation in the slides. You know how much time it takes to do animation in a slide? I mean, it's a total waste of time. It's a total waste of time. You should pull up the map and be like, hey, we're going to move from here to here. That's the way it's going to work. Follow my finger. Follow my pointer on this map so you all know what's up. Instead, we spend an extra hour and 22 minutes making Humvees drive down a route in an animated way. It's a disaster, man. And the cool thing was, and props to my commanding officer, those guys, and you guys have heard the story, like Seth was like, we're going to get fired. And I said, hey, you will not get fired. If anyone gets fired, I will say this was 100% on me. I told them to brief this way. Don't worry about it. Brief to your lowest common denominator. Brief to your machine gunners. And they're like, okay. And sure enough, the commanding officer came up. He sat through the brief, and to his credit, he was like, those are the best briefs we've had. I actually understand what's happening. I'm like, that's the goal. So that's what we need to do. Don't over supervise. Don't over inspect. And when people make mistakes, just make some little adjustments. Tell them what the goal is, and we're going to be all right.